Welcome. Welcome everyone to etletstalk.com. Contact with Kosta. This is the first of an experiment in our community here to bring us closer together and to share each other's stories, insights, requests for help, whatever's on our mind that is CE5, ET contact related within our community. Again, I'm Kosta McCrease, and I want to welcome everyone who is joining in here. Thank you for taking the time of your Saturday mornings, evenings, and afternoons to spend an hour with us here, or however long we go today. It won't be more than an hour. Quite a few of you have written in with many topics you want to address. I will try to get to as many of you as I can. But again, this is an experiment to see how well um, we can pull this off and talk to each other and see how many of us can get heard. So let's just start right away. This is again sponsored by etletstalk.com. Contact with Kosta. My aim is to try to do these monthly. It may not always be monthly, or if there's a lot of demand, maybe even more than once a month. Right now, that's open, but on a regular or semi-regular basis, Contact with Kosta will be the opportunity for our community to actually speak with each other. Maybe not all at once, but in a serial fashion. And there are several reasons I decided that it would be a good idea to do this webinar. First and foremost, is to provide a way for all of us to be able to bond a little bit more together and to hear each other's voices and each other's stories. Many of us are active on social media, as you all know, and some of us are already friends and are meeting other people and are interacting that way as well. etletstalk.com, I have several Facebook pages out there where people have been joining by the hundreds and talking with each other. And that's all fine. Social media is really what has helped us get started and keeps the wheels being greased, as it were. But there's an added element, and that's the ability to hear each other voices, our stories, is an additional bonding element. Because most of us likely will never meet each other in our lifetimes, maybe not this life, um, which is the best thing is to do face-to-face meetings. Then the next best thing I believed was to be able to offer this webinar as a means for us to get a little bit more personalized and understand that there are voices and human beings behind all of these Facebook names and all these email addresses. So I just want to welcome the whole community. This is Contact for the Contact community, and we'll see how it builds out. We have a great start today, but what I want to encourage you is to share the news of this webinar that will be happening. Get people to sign up on etletstalk.com because that's the way I'll be able to capture email addresses and make future announcements about the dates of these webinars. So I appreciate all of you doing the sharing on social media, talking to your coworkers, to your friends, and let them know that we finally have a way for us uh, to talk about our CE5 experiences, even better than writing. Therefore, like I said, this is an experiment. Let's keep working it. And for those of you who are new, and I think there's quite a few of you, um, etletstalk.com is a community that's about 11,000 people at present. It was founded in December 2012 by myself, and we're in more than 100 countries. So this is a really diverse group of people bringing many perspectives, many cultures. But the thing that's uniting all of us is our interest in ET contact and what that portends for the future of humanity and of this planet. All of you showing up here have filtered yourselves in a way because you're showing that you care to make this kind of ET contact and have the perspective that what this means is that cosmic humanity is being born here as we make our connections with our galactic friends and prepare to take the next evolutionary leap. Now, you all know that as part of that, we have to make sure this planet and our global civilization survives. And that's another reason that I'm bringing people together on this webinar. is so that we can have a shared sense of community, of purpose, of initiative. Because really, what we're doing is we've started a movement here. It's not quite on the scale of many other movements, but you have to have a start somewhere. And I believe that the people on this call, the people in the ET Let's Talk community, as well as many of the other networks that are out there, CE5 networks on social media, who are doing contact, we're all part of this movement. And it's relatively a new one, and therefore has a lot of room for growth, because I truly believe that the interest worldwide in this topic, ET contact, is really there, and it's our job now as the forerunners to get it going and to become the media and inform everyone else around us in whatever ways and whatever tools that we have, to tell them, hey, something cool is really going on. There's this ability using these protocols to contact galactics, and it gives us a chance to explain that, hey, they're here. The cover up is breaking up, and that's because we are the media, and we're making sure that the truth is getting out there. The truth actually has been out there, but we're just letting people around us know that. So it's with this sense of purpose that I welcome all of you here. It's great to hear our stories, but it's also good to know that we have a synergistic movement here that is aiming to help Gaia evolve, to help human civilization and all of Gaia's life forms to survive. One thing I'm always stressing is that we are not waiting for our galactic friends to come here and save us and do everything for us, do our growing for us, fixing everything for us that we've broken. And I think many of you out there would agree that we humans have to start getting along better and remove all the control systems that have been keeping us down and enslaved, so that as free and sovereign beings, we can come together and establish right human relations between each other, and fix the problems that we have created. And as you know, there are very many of those, but many of them are within the realm of human cooperation to fix. And this is really a spiritual journey in the largest sense of the word, in that we are all growing as human beings and learning to get along. Because the truth is, if we don't get along, we're going to blow up this planet or destroy it environmentally, or with chemical weapons, or economic breakdowns. I mean, the list is out there. But I think many of us are optimists, including myself, that we can and we will and we are stepping up as humans to do our part to fix things. As part of that, we are welcoming our contact with our galactic neighbors and friends and family, who are here, I believe, by the millions, and are ready to lend an assisting, guiding hand. Again, not to do the work for us, but as elder brothers and sisters and cousins, to give us an assist in the areas where maybe the problems are too big for us, or to give us some insight, some cooperation. Really, it's open-ended, and what many of us are doing in this community while we're doing our contact is linking with these galactics and telling them, hey, I'm here. I'm not going to shoot you down. I really want to cooperate. I have an open heart, open mind, and want the same thing you do, which is the survival of planet Earth. How can we work together? And so that's what I keep asking people in this community, is as we reach out, not just to get excited, and I still do, and many of us do, about the lights in the sky and the other ways that contact gets made, but also to provide a bilateral communication and say, okay, how can we work together? We are peaceful. There are many of us who want peace on Earth and a golden age for Gaia. So it's about time that we are wanting to show that to you, the galactics, and figure out how, in a partnership, we can make sure that all this works for all of us. So that is the bigger picture, I believe, of why we're here, as well as to get to know each other. Um, just imagine yourself sitting around a fire on a cold winter night, and you've got your friends there and your community there, and we're going to share our stories and just get to know each other. And we'll continue doing that month after month. For those of you who don't know really who I am, and there are many of you, and how etletstalk.com came to be, I'll try to give you a brief. um, introduction here about who I am, where I came from, and why we're really doing this right now as part of my journey. I am 62 years old. I was born in the Midwest, long, long time ago, but in an era of the 60s and the 70s where space was on everybody's minds, and I was a young man who was fascinated and interested in astronomy, in UFO books, in science fiction, in the NASA space program of those days, the Mercury, Gemini, Apollo programs, which were igniting the imaginations of the entire world. I and many others were very much a part of that, and my eyes were always on the skies for one reason or another, and just fascinated by the expanse of the heavens and the possibility of life out there. So I was alive at a very early age with that, and I'm sure that that story is true for many of you, that you became alive and awake to the wonders of the universe when you were very young. Well, fast forward many years. In 2006, I was surfing on the internet and discovered that there were ET contact retreats taking place near where I lived in Mount Shasta, California, just about a 4.5 hour drive from here. So I um, I thought this is fascinating. This is what the UFO field has come to. There's a lot on the internet here. I want to kind of rekindle my interest in it because I had let my interest in UFOs and science fiction and all these wonderful things in astronomy just go dormant as I went on about my life, getting married, having kids, having jobs, the normal things that many of us humans do. But that all changed in 2006, thanks to the internet. And I went to this ET contact expedition for a week. I remember at that time actually having a little bit of fear because of what Hollywood has pummeled into our brains about um, all the onslaught of all the evil aliens that are here to eat us. Maybe some are. I don't know. Maybe we didn't taste so good, but I hope they've given up on that. Um, I'm just joking. Um, but yeah, there I was in 2006. Had a little bit of fear, but I was really more excited than anything else. Here's a chance to go out under the stars and use meditation and consciousness to connect with ETs and UFOs. I thought, how novel! I want to do that. And I remember talking to my wife, Hollis, who had said, I know that they're here. I know there's been a cover up, and but I believe that I don't understand what this has to do with my daily life. So why don't you go along for the week and I support you? That was a wonderful thing to get that kind of support. Well, during that week, that is what changed my life and why I'm addressing you now and why I'm facilitating this community. I had an experience one night in the company of 9 other people after we had done a CE5 meditation, and it was near midnight, and it was in a clearing at the foothill, or rather in the at the base of the mountain there, in a forest. As many people were leaving to go back to their cars and go back and turn in for the night, it was about 9 or 10 of us still stood around, and then someone tugged on my sleeve, and I looked over about, I want to say 6 to 8 feet from me, and there in the moonlight, just above the forest floor, I watched a small starcraft kind of phasing in, kind of how you do a slow fade in, not a fade out. It was a sphere, maybe 6 feet in diameter. It wasn't totally solid, but you could see it was getting more and more solid, more coherent, and it was clearly there, and it was not a trick of my eyes or of the moonlight or the shadows or anything, because other people were watching it with me as well. For me, it was an opaque color, and it floated there above the forest floor, maybe a foot above it, for about half an hour, while all of us stood around in hushed tones talking about it, though we could not see inside, but there it was. Several members who were psychic in the group said they were getting telepathic messages from the pilots, the inhabitants inside, who told them that they were scientists doing research on the human energy systems. And I thought, well, that sounds kind of cool. Scientific expeditions from the stars, why not? Um, and though it's not part of this story right now, one of those scientists in there did do a merging experiment with a woman standing next to me for that half hour with her permission, and was able to take some readings from her that she recounted to us in a story later on. That story is beside the fact right now, but it was clearly an up close and personal contact experience for her that she, like I say, related to everyone else as part of this entire encounter. After this scientist ended the merge with her, she was a little bit disoriented, so we got pieces of the story of what had happened. We watched this spherical small starcraft just kind of phase out, did a slow fade out, and that was it for the end of the night. And that was my up close and personal experience. I know people have had even more dramatic experiences than that, but for my money from that time, that's what I needed to see, uh, to be something that I could take away and say, this happened to me. Um, though all my life I've heard other people whom I trust tell dramatic stories, this is something that I cannot unsee and that no one will ever take from me. And so, with excitement, I was wanting to tell the story to my wife. During the same week, I was calling my wife back at home every morning, giving her a description of what we were seeing in the skies. We were making contact, definitely in the skies and on the ground. And with some excitement every morning, I would recount what was new and fresh and just amazing to be a part of. About the fourth night, I think, or the fourth morning when I called her, she stopped me and said, "I've got a story for you." And I thought, "Oh, okay, what's up with that?" She proceeded to tell me that the night before in our bedroom there at home, as she had just turned in, gotten into bed, turned out the light. With her physical sight, she saw four little, maybe five beings standing at the foot of our bed, very clearly, white, translucent, not quite solid, but very much there. She couldn't see the details of their faces, but they were bipedal, large heads, maybe 3.5, maybe 4 feet tall, all of them, and just standing there. Um, Apropos of nothing, she was not afraid. She was very startled and kind of speechless. And she could hear their thoughts towards her. They were saying, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?" And they were very, very sweet. She could feel the love coming off of them, and was just, like I said, dumbfounded by this, and didn't think or was not aware to ask lots of questions. I have to say that she is psychically clairvoyant, but this was not her psychic sight. She knows the difference because she has done this for 30 years as a professional clairvoyant. And she told me that with her physical eyes, they were there. After a while, they faded out, but not before telling her the answer to one question she did manage to ask, which was, "Where are you from?" And they formed the words in her mind that came together as Arcturus. And so there she was on the phone telling me the story the following morning, and my jaw dropped, of course, because I didn't expect anything like that. And she says to me, "Is there a place called Arcturus?" Because she was not an astronomy geek like I was. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I think it's a red giant or a supergiant. Forgot how many light years away it is, but yeah, it's a real star system." She goes, "Well, that's what I got. So these were Arcturians?" I go, "Sounds like it to me." And so that was her personal experience. The woman who had said, "I don't know what relevance they have in my daily life," suddenly it became relevant. And the next thing she says to me, "Next year on this retreat expedition to make contact, I'm coming with you." And we've been doing these many years since then. So that's the personal story of what really got me started. I did not want to drop this. I wanted more contact. And so in October of 2010, I founded the Global CE5 Initiative, which brought together a lot of CE5 groups across the world to do monthly ET contact, and we've been doing that monthly since then, and we continue to do that. A lot of you are on the mailing list to get the Global C5 Initiative event announcements, and I want to thank you all for your continued cooperation and joining in there. That's amazing. The truth is that in our community of 11,000 people, we are making daily, weekly, monthly, all the time contact everywhere. And this is what our movement is about: is the more CE5 we can do, the more we can connect, the more the ETs will realize that friendly humans want to have these bilateral, friendly, peaceful relations and work together. And they've actually told us in messages that this gives them permission to show up in many more places. And they have asked us to create as many ET contact teams as possible in as many places as possible as soon as possible. So that is really what we're doing with the Global CE5 initiative that I founded in October 2010. That initiative is also part of the People's Disclosure Movement, which I founded at the same time. And the reason I want to mention that now is because many of us want disclosure, we want full disclosure, and we're waiting for governments or some authority to announce it to us. Guess what, gang? We are the disclosure. The longer we wait for them to announce it at a high level, and certainly that would be great if they did, wouldn't turn it down, but we give away our power by waiting for someone else to tell us. Every time we do C5 contact, what I want to tell you is us doing disclosure. We've made contact. We tell a neighbor, we tell a friend, a family member that we've made contact. That is the people's disclosure. That is us taking back our power to disclose the ET UFO cover up truth ourselves. And so I really want to make that point that the People's Disclosure Movement is something we should consider ourselves being part of. I have a Facebook page for that. I welcome you to look it up under the People's Disclosure Movement. Do a like, start talking there. But let's start thinking of ourselves as the driving force behind disclosure. Rather than waiting around, we're leading the charge here and doing it as a community and helping each other and having each other's backs, informing each other, encouraging each other, and inspiring each other. So that's the People's Disclosure Movement. What I'd like to do now is just let you know what the format is going to be moving forward, and then get on and um, present our guest for the day. And after that, we'll be talking to all of you. As we move forward on these, what I want to do with the webinars, the Contact with Kosta, is if there's any news, I want to provide it to you, and it will be followed by an activist who's within our network. And there are many people that I've invited that I want to talk to one on one and have them just present for 10 minutes what they're doing in terms of CE5 contact activity or some interesting related part of their lives that's related to CE5 contact and to the ET contact topic. We have a really talented, diverse community, and you're all doing amazing things. And so, through these interviews of 10 to 15 minutes on this webinar, I want to present these people to you. Today's guest will be Laura Embry, and I'll be getting to her in a few minutes. But after we talk with Laura, then I want to open it up to all of you. What I said in the email was 2 to 3 minutes, and please stay within the time limit because I do want to get to as many of your presentations as possible. But I'll be asking you to spend your 2 or 3 minutes and introduce yourselves, give your b- coolest C5 experience, or maybe ask for someone who lives near you to contact you, give out an email, or whatever's related to this topic. You have your 2 3 minutes of fame there, and you'll have to forgive me if I have to cut you off. I'll try to do it politely and tactfully, but all that is in order for me to be able to cover as many people as I want to in the hour that we have. So right now, let me see if we can bring on our guest, Laura Embry. Laura has been a public school teacher and a teacher in the Waldorf system for many, many years, and she has a unique way of something she wants to present about doing ET contact up for us. Let me bring Laura Embry on and have her describe the unique approach she has to CE5 ET contact. Okay, Laura, are you there?
Hi, Kosta. This is Laura.
Okay, great. We have a connection. We have the community online here, as you well know. And what I want to do is give you the opportunity to describe. Now, you've been a member of the ET Let's Talk community for quite a while and have been on CE5 expeditions. So you're very familiar with what many of us do in this. And
Yes.
yet you've come up with an interesting way to augment and help us try something different within this. So I'll let you describe what that is, the background of it, whatever you think is important that the community would want to hear. Go ahead. Go
Cool.
ahead.
Okay. Well, my name is Laura Embry. Laura Embry Stein is my former name. I'm going by Laura Embry now. I've been a teacher for about 30 years with a deep meditative practice for most of those years. And as you said, I've worked in the Waldorf schools for quite a long time. And in the Waldorf schools, and as part of their education, there is this thing called form drawing. And way back 20 years ago when I started that, I helped write a book about that because it was just intuitively I was getting this is so important somehow, but I wasn't quite sure why. I just knew it was really healthy and important. Recently, I've started getting communication from extraterrestrial beings clairvoyantly, and these messages are given as forms. Forms like designs, they're just beautifully symmetrical forms with in particular colors, and most of the forms have been given for healing, healing organs or clearing diseases, stuff like that. And recently one of the forms that I received is specifically to help people who want to deepen their contact with the ETs. And I've posted this form on my Facebook page, and my Facebook page account is just my name, Laura Embry Stein, and that's Laura, Laura, and then capital Embrey, and then it's a hyphenated name, so there's a hyphen, and then capital Stine. And I posted on my Facebook page, and it's just for anyone, it's a gift, and it's kind of a cool form. It's a 7-pointed star, but it's based on an oval rather than a circle, as most stars are. And then I wanted to add some stuff about crop circles because those are actually form drawings. So there's a connection there, and I always knew that there was a connection there, but recently I've asked about what that connection is, and the crop circles are actually messages from the spiritual world. And some of them are hoaxes, but a lot of them are actually true messages. So that was pretty exciting to me, and I got some information about that. Each of the circles has a meaning, and if you just Google crop circles and then go to images, you'll see a series of images, and one of the first ones that pops up is kind of this pinwheel form that is divided into 6 sections. So I asked about that and was given the information that this is a form showing the unity of the 6 universes. Not that there are only 6 universes, there are many, many more, but the 6 that really concern us. And on this form is, this circle divided into 6 with these little spirals. But then on each of the spiral lines, there are 13 circles, and the 13 represents the 13 systems within the 6 universes. So the Pleiadian universe is the one that we're involved in, and the three systems that are involved in that are the Earth system, which is ours, and then the Sirian system and the Pleiadian system. But then there are 5 others who are kind of all watching us. They're one of the other forms on there, when you click on that, the images, will show a 5-pointed star within a circle, and then there are these little horns off the tips of the stars. And that's a symbol that is telling us, the message is that, we're the 5 universes that are watching you and supporting you. We're on your side. It's we're here for you. And the special thing that is going on in our universe is this amazing freedom experiment. And this is the place it's happening. And so that's why we're, being watched and guarded and cared for. So they're rooting for us, which was a nice message.
Yeah, who doesn't like some off stage or really on stage encouragement like that? Thank you for that. Yeah, go on.
Right. And probably many of the listeners today are aware of this, of the news about this kind of recent shift that happened in the cosmic energies and this kind of outpouring of love that happened recently. You can go online and look about, read about that. But the news for me was that the beings responsible for creating these crop circles have, in this recent shift, been lifted into a higher spiritual condition, and they are communicating with humans now via the human etheric body. And they're sending forms, such as the one that I've given on the ET Let's Talk website. I've got it up there, and I've got it on my Facebook. And these forms are the spiritual script. They're like spiritual writing. And so, yeah, they all have a meaning, and they're there for us to read if we can.
Wow, that's interesting. Are there any people working on deciphering those or any aids for that?
Well, I am.
Oh, okay. I'm talking
I
to you.
I don't know yet of any others who are working on deciphering them. That's a good question. I asked, if there's a way for us to tell the difference between, the hoax ones and the real ones, and so far all I've gotten is that the ones that are like overly busy and detailed, those tend to be the hoaxes. The ones that are more beautifully symmetrical are the ones that are from the actual ETs.
How interesting.
So anyway, this form that I've offered is this 7-pointed star based on the oval. It's a very simple form, and you can work with it in a number of ways. You could just draw it, if you like working with colored pencils, and you can do it in any color that you like, or you can just meditate the form, or you can actually walk it, like move it, like draw it on the ground, or visualize it in your mind and walk the star. And just do that, a couple of times a day, or as many times as you like, if you really like the form, and then just wait and see what happens. And it's meant to deepen your contact with the ETs.
Okay, that was my next question. Then is what that does. Obviously, if it's it sounds to me like if it's coming from the ETs, then it's them offering a way for like, hey, dial us up here. Here's
yes,
the move.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's their phone number, and it's even got 7 sides.
Wow.
I don't know what their area code is, but they just gave me the form.
The form, it's all there. Go on.
So the messages mostly that I've been getting are about healing, and I've actually written a book and included many of the forms that I've received, and that book is available for purchase through the Rudolph Steiner College bookstore here in California. And it will be available on my website, but I haven't gotten my website up yet. But that's www.lauraembry.com. So you can find out more about the book on the website. And actually, I have it posted on my Facebook account too. But yeah, okay. And it will be possible to purchase a book on the website very soon. It isn't quite up yet, but it will be.
Now, what you've been talking about is this particular form that is meant to enhance the CE5 contact. I understand that the book has lots of other forms for healing of various organs or conditions. Can you talk just really briefly about that so that we can get an idea that this is really like a unified whole? The CE5 form is really part of a family of deeper communication that's meant to heal us. And obviously that's a gift to us because as humans heal, we kind of get along better with each other, and that all promotes evolutionary things when you have healthy human beings. So
absolutely. Thanks for making that connection, Kosta. It's absolutely true, and that's really so important. The forms for healing, are probably of interest to almost everyone because we all could be healthier. We all have our little things that we, that annoy us, even when we're not, terribly ill. And the forms will address those kinds of things. There is also a set of forms that really is for spiritual development, and that will be coming out in another book. And I would put the ET contact form, as part of that group. It's just that group is not available yet for purchase, but I will, be working on
Hmm.
that. So it's like
Okay.
the forms are coming so fast that it's just kind of impossible to keep up. But but I'm
That's
trying
that.
because they want this
Good.
information out there.
That's great. So I encourage people who want to try something new. Uh, if you've ever been a little kid, and I think most of us were, sitting down and tracing on a line has never been more fun when you realize that this is a spiritual experiment that um, will help you make your ET contact even better.
Yeah,
And maybe many of you do this and want to come on the show later times and tell us what feedback you might have had. I'm sure that Laura would be interested in hearing what people have to say about it. So
absolutely.
yeah. So okay, Laura, thank you very much for sharing yourself and your time and your information here. I hope some
Oh, my
people
pleasure.
follow up. All right. Take
All
care.
right.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So we're going to move along here and let let you talk in the community. We have about 20 minutes left in the hour, but welcome to Contact with Kosta. And would you identify yourself?
Hi, I
Hello?
think it's me. My name is Amor Lose.
Oh, hi, Amor. How are
I,
you doing?
hi, I stayed quiet for a moment because I wasn't quite sure if it is me. No one
Well, I
else
can
seems to be
verify
coming
you are
forward.
you. Yes. And
Okay.
okay. Okay. Well, you've got about 2, 3 minutes. Tell us
Okay.
what's on your mind about this, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Um, I'm just very excited to share because when you find people like yourself, Costa, and others, and the opportunity to connect about your experiences and what we're here to share and why we've been contacted, it's quite exciting. So I'm really happy to be a part of this community, and I hope that it continues to grow because there's so much information that is being given to us on a telepathic level from the different contacts that we've experienced that I feel if we bring them together, we can create what's called the flower of life, which is a very old symbol. It's a very universal symbol, and from there, things happen and things grow, and it's a very magical formula, something that we can go into another time. But I've just been shared a lot of information since 2003 when I had contact, and I have about 15 journals worth. And I don't
Wow.
know what I'd like to do with it, but there's been many suggestions about writing a book about it, really sharing it with the world, and I'm constantly getting some beautiful suggestions on healing and insights and contact. It's almost, for me at this point, after 12 years or so, 14 years, it's almost like having a conversation with friends. And I just wish they were friends in bodies, but they're not. Some of them I do notice are in bodies, and there's a few ET souls walking around and are very aware of it, and we are able to recognize each other. And so I'm here to share just something important, and I hope that it doesn't get cut off. It's from the interview with Robert Sheehan, or Danny Sheehan, and when I was listening to that recently, there was something that was really important that came through, and I want to get to it, and unfortunately I've lost the page. But it's coming. It's coming. Here it is. It came after your interview with Danny Sheehan, and I was
Hmm.
listening to that, and I received a telepathic contact, and I would like to share it.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. That's very relevant. Go on.
Okay. Addressing inherited programs within the human vehicle. Accepting the theory and possibility. I'm not going to edit it. I was writing very fast, so you're just going to hear it as is.
Okay.
Accepting theory and possibility that the human body is a sophisticated organic compound composed from alchemical variables providing allowance towards manipulated auto-suggest programs based upon sound frequencies, similar to the concept of dog hearing a whistle that human programmed ears cannot. The food is the method that human is programmed. Processed food depletes vibrational status that synchronizes the intelligence quotient to adhere to variable signal input suggestions. These variables are inherent and goal-oriented towards population control. Sophisticated and ongoing genetic splicing encouraged by pharmaceutical, parentheses, big pharma contractual objective towards annihilation of hybrid organic necessary components. I'm assuming they're relating it to the human body. There is
Yeah.
a rare race of people that are bad, in quote, compared to the concept of what is defined as good. The technology we share is how one can simply choose to clear a hardened, undeletable program, for there is no such thing. One just takes an alternate approach to a formula of reliability, a formula that has not been deviated consequently for a deliberate mutation. In other words, new cells can grow, be replenished, and there are various plant, in quotes, medicines which has offering to restructure, rewire, or destabilize a nutritive processed food injection, specifically a constant such as processed sugar, to dumb one down. The ability to only receive, retrieve, and recycle a repetition, i.e., a belief of fear. Fervent environmental activating linguist equals fear. Fervent environmental activating linguist equals fear, i.e., look at your TV shows and language of your scripts, stories, and storyline.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have to cut you off here.
Okay.
Amor,
That's
yeah.
fine.
There is, I don't even know where to start, a wealth of information there that at any given point, I think you could dive deeper down into what was presented there. In other words, a lot of food for thought, if I can use that kind of an analogy. Um,
Yes,
and
yes.
a lot of what was said resonated with me, um, and I'm probably with other people on this call too. So, uh, is there, well, you say you haven't published this. I was wondering if for people to follow up on if there were a way to do that or not, to
You
get
know,
that information from you.
right now it's all written in journals, and anyway, it's just a long story. And yes, contacting me is probably a good way we can communicate, and I'm happy to share. And
Okay.
I'm just happy to share because this is what we are. We're the change. We are the change. We are the ones. We are the miracles. We have
I,
it in our bodies ourselves. So yes, that's the
yeah,
message.
yeah, we're the message, we're the change. I quite agree with that. We're the ones we've been waiting for. Is there an email address you want to give out?
It's easy. It's the name Amor Lose, which is A-M like Mary, O like Oscar, R like Robert, Lose, L like love, U like umbrella, and Z like zebra. Amor Lose at gmail.com.
Okay. That's really easy to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Love and light. Did I get that right? Parentheses.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
My name. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Amor Luz. That was really educational. Thank you, and we'll be talking again then. Bye.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And folks, again, as I mentioned, as I look at my list here, the many people who said they would call in with something to offer are not on the line, are not on the program. So, though I've got many of you here, clearly most of you wanted just to be in listen only mode, which is great. I'm glad you showed up. I could surprise a couple people whose numbers I recognize here and ask them if they have anything they want to offer. And one of them will be Hollis, if I can find the number here. So, yeah, Hollis, I don't know if there's anything you want to add about what we're doing here or any interesting contact experiences you've had. Are you on the line?
Yes, I have had plenty of amazing contact experiences. I'll tell one I don't normally tell, but one night a bunch of us were up in our usual meditation spot locally here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I sort of was drawn to the space on my right, like noticing like, oh, there's like a warm space here, because it's always reasonably cold where we meditate, and it's the Bay Area after all. It's hardly ever warm. And there was a warm space next to me, and I could feel with my hands the outlines of it, and seemed to be, about maybe 3 feet high, and it persisted, and I eventually had everybody in turn in the circle came over and felt it too. So there was a small being there with us, or something that put off some kind of electromagnetic energy that people could feel, that none of us could see. I wish somebody had night vision goggles, but we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's just one of the up close and personals.
That's fascinating.
That was it for today.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm going to ask you to do one other quick one, because I know you have a great story about what you saw in the sky that peeled back. That is unusual, because I hear lots of stories, and I've not heard that one except from maybe one other person who's a member of my local group.
So
So go
probably
ahead.
isn't listening today. Yes, another night, same location. I was drawn to a particular place in the sky, and as I looked up in the sky, I watched a section of it, this is going to sound very weird, being unzipped. So I'd like you to imagine one of the very old square suitcases. This is the kind my grandparents had. So they would have been manufactured maybe, or made maybe in the 20s or the 30s. And it was very rectangular, and it had on one side a 3-sided zipper, a zipper that went around 3 sides of one of the large sides of it, so that you could unzip it completely and flap the top back. And that's what I watched happen in the sky. Something went zip, zip, zip for the 3 sides, and then kind of it disappeared. And behind what we normally think of as the sky, there was something else, also dark, but it had way more points of light that, looking up from Earth we call stars. I kind of doubt those were stars. I was told basically that it's a parking lot up here, and there's so many craft, beings, whatever, up here watching you. You can't, but I guess they're all cloaked. And so they just unzipped a little part of the cloaking so that I could see what was there. And then, and it lasted for maybe a second or two. I was so shocked that I never said it. I didn't say anything to anybody. It happened, again, quite fast, and it was quite shocking. And then the sky zipped itself back up again and went back to normal. And here's the funny part. Several years later, the exact same thing happened to another member of our local working group, except in her case, she said the part of the sky that was unzipped was behind the moon. But she described basically the exact same scenario.
Wow.
So it's not just me.
Yeah, that's right. And it's something that a lot of people have been saying. It's a parking lot. We have a lot of friends there, but rarely do we have an experience like that, where even a small part of the sky, and I know that what you saw was just like a little small part, just populated and full. So it's great to get some validation like that. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that, and I'll let you go. And because Laura offered, and because we have about 2 or 3 more minutes, we'll let her continue with some information she has on forms that she wanted to share. Laura, are you back?
I am.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi
Yeah,
again.
so I did get more information that was meant to come to this, convocation today, but I thought I was running out of time, so I stopped. But I do have a bit more to say, so I thought I'd contribute.
Okay.
Yeah, how I was talking about the crop circles and stuff, and what they meant and everything. And there was I spoke of the 5-pointed star with the horns on the end, and I asked what the 5-pointed star meant, and that's the 5 universes that are rooting for us. And then I asked what the horns were, and it was an interesting answer. They said that's a symbol for clairvoyance, clairsentience, but also these other clarities, like clair movement, clair emotion, and clair thinking. I don't know how else to say them. Maybe I'll come up with some smoother words later, but those are the words that I was given, which I thought was interesting. And then there are other clairs, that we would not understand. I got a list of names of these universes, and I thought that some of the ET people might be interested in them. There's the Pleiadian universe, which I already explained, which is ours, and then there's the Arcturan universe with just the Arcturan system in it. Then the Hyades universe, which has the Hyades system and the Amurian system. And then there is the Megatron universe with the Megatron system and the Plutonian system. Then there is the Smyrnian universe with the Xerian and Circean systems in it. And then there is the Tellurian universe. That sounds pretty Star Trek to me, but whatever. That's what they said.
Hey, they all sound Star Trek to me.
The Tellurian universe has 3 systems: Tellurian, Peridean, and Synambian systems in them. And then I said, really, are these really their names? And what I got was, this is the closest approximation to their names in our, way of communication. Mm-hmm. So, there are systems and universes in which, they don't have vision and hearing. So, language is a completely different thing, mm-hmm. And they have different senses, and that's kind of difficult for us to understand. But I think that this symbol of the horns sort of approaches, what that means kind of approaches this, this clear movement, clear emotional, clear thinking. What is that? We have the force of thinking. We have the soul force of feeling and willing. We can do those. But what does this mean? These other things. So mm-hmm. Not quite sure about that, but I'm going to look into it, and maybe I'll have more for you another time.
Well, certainly, I think you've whetted my interest, and the more you talk, it's like I have more questions. Like, okay,
good, ask them, and then maybe I can get back to you.
Yeah, okay, I will. I can do that offline, and certainly if they have any messages that come through you, in the same way that Amor Lose was telling us how she was getting communication.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, if you get specific stuff that's related to what we're doing here, then yeah, we're certainly very interested, because that's what we're all about. It's contact with the cosmic here. So, okay, thanks again, Laura. We appreciate that. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
And with that, folks, I think I'm going to wrap up here. We're at the top of the hour. It's almost 11 o'clock here in California. I'm on the West Coast, the left coast. I want to thank all of you who have shared the time with us for being here. And I hope you learned something, or maybe got inspired, and would want to show up and share with us next time in the same way that you've heard people talking today about their experiences, some teaching that they might have. And I'm willing to give you the time, so speak up. But at the minimum, thank you for listening. So this is Kosta, Contact with Kosta, signing out until we get together again next time. Thanks again. Bye.